I want to speak to you today about some changes in the tax system, and in particular the administration of taxes, which is going to make life for all of us an awful lot more straightforward. And it's all been brought about by changes in technology. I am today going to concentrate on how this is impacting on tax returns. And I suspect that if I raise the subject of tax returns, our little green monster here is probably appropriate. He's probably a little less scary than the tax returns themselves. Now, to start off with, the deadlines for submission of tax returns, if they're electronic, it's going to be January 2017. If they're not electronic, it's going to be 31st October. If you miss the paper submission deadline of October, then the only way of avoiding a penalty is to submit online. An online submission is one that is capable of passing through the HMRC gateway, and this means either using the HMRC's own software or specialist software. Now, who has to submit a tax return? You will see appearing on the screen a list of the criteria for who has to actually submit a tax return. It doesn't necessarily mean that if you don't fit these criteria that the income is not taxable. It just means that you have to notify HMRC in a different way. The categories continue onto the next screen, and you'll see that these include anyone with income greater than £50,000 who's claiming child benefit, and a number of categories involving an international aspect. If your total income is over £100,000, then no matter what the source of that income, you still have to submit a tax return. Now, what happens if you've received a notice to file a tax return but you don't think that you need to? You can contact HMRC and they can withdraw it. This is particularly helpful if you've received penalties for late submission. And if you fit the criteria, then you can avoid the penalties. What happens if you don't have your final figures when the filing deadline approaches? You should submit provisional figures, but you have to make sure they're reasonable and clearly identify them as provisional. HMRC will be very quick to point this out to you if you try and claim that you couldn't submit the tax return because you didn't have the final figures. An explanation is always required, and if this is not provided along with the tax return, then what the revenue say is that it's liable to increase the risk of you getting an Inland Revenue inquiry into your tax return. Now, many of you will have your tax returns either completed by ourselves or another agent, and this is because you've authorised us to act as your agent. You will then authenticate the actual tax return itself, and we use approved software. Now for the exciting stuff. Back in 2015, George Osbourne announced they were going to abolish the tax return and replace it with a digital tax account. This will be phased in over the next few years. There will be a new payment process for non-PAYE liabilities, and you'll be able to interact online with HMRC far more. There's going to be a general move to continuous submission of details with quarterly submissions. Businesses will need to submit details of their profitability each quarter, and it will be interesting to see how this is to be done. There will be some exemptions from the quarterly reporting, particularly for employees and pensioners who have no other significant income. The revenue systems will be evolving quite rapidly, but you can already register for your own personal online tax account. You need your passports, you need a national insurance number, you need an email address, you need a mobile phone so they can send you security texts as part of the registration process. You need about 10 minutes and you go to the website shown on the screen. If you haven't already done so, I would recommend that you register for the online account. There's a lot of useful information, including things like getting a state pension forecast. You can also check your national insurance record, and you'll see coming up on the screen just shortly an extract from one of these reports. And you don't have to wait for this information, it's there on the screen for you. So if you're in any doubt about your national insurance record, going right back to when you started in employment, then check it out on the personal online tax account. Going back to the tax account itself, you'll see appearing on the screen before you some more of the headings from that account. So you can have a look at your tax credit position and also check out various other things which HMRC will recommend for you. In addition, you'll be able to update your personal details. You can indicate to HMRC that you want correspondence by email and no more brown envelopes. And you can also track any forms and letters that are in progress. So this is quite a valuable tool, and I would strongly recommend that you register at the earliest opportunity. And you'll see appearing on the screen now the web address. No doubt as time goes on, we will find more information available on these online tax accounts. So this is an exciting time to be working in tax. The demise of tax returns, not quite. You've still got to put the information on your digital tax account. But this is tax returns for the new century. I'm Alan Long from Long Partnership, making life less taxing.